Welcome to the Middleware Tech YouTube channel. In this series, you'll learn about CRUD using SOAP web service. All code examples used in the videos will be available on GitHub. Let's get started.
So if I'm going with the lab, I'm not creating client side, only creating the server side. So if I'm going to using this lab, Control C, Control V. This is the requirement. Next. So for this lab, we are doing server side, right? Okay. Now here we have to understand, since we are talking about CRUD operations, so how it work. So if you take an use case, let's your use case name is login or insert, right? Right, or make reservation. Okay, so whatever the use case name, if you take a particular use case name, how it actually work, right? So let's see, the use case name is login. Then how it will work, that use case. First in the client here, client, and here in the controller, in the view layer, who is there? We have login dot HTML or login.jsp that is working on the view layer. Fine. Then who is there in the then view is interacting with the controller layer, right? Who is there in the controller layer? Assume it is login controller. Fine. .java. Okay. Now after controller layer, who is in the middle tier? Who is there? Service layer. Who is there in the service layer? Service layer. Assume it is login service. .java. Login service.java, right? And then service layer is interacting with the DAO layer, right? So if service layer is interacting with the DAO layer, who is there in the DAO layer? This is we have the class and implementation class both. I'm just writing here for the login DAO. Generally we use user DAO, not login DAO, right? .java, and it is going to interact with the database. So this is going to interact with the database, right? So this is the flow how it will continue. This is the flow how it will continue, right? Okay. So this is our CRUD operations. If I'm going to do insert and select, so I can write insert and select. So I'm not going to think on the view and controller layer in the web service. So this DAO layer is very specific to database interaction. DAO layer is very specific to database interaction, and that is all the CRUD operation insert, update, delete, and select will implement in the DAO layer, right? And in the service layer. And in the service layer is that layer that we generally expose as a web service to the external world. Service layer is that layer that we expose as a web service to the external world. That is the service layer, correct? Okay. So now what we have to do is that we will talk about these three layers: service, DAO, and database, because the service layer will always expose as a web service to the external world, right? We'll talk about these three layers, right? So when you're creating the web service, so assume when you're creating this web service, so I have to create some of the classes, right? So step one, how I'll do it. So step one, I'm just writing the steps, so it will help to map for everyone. So step one is that create a dynamic web project. Dynamic web project, correct? Then step two, what we'll do when dynamic web project is done, then you have to create classes Java class. So what are those Java classes is there? One is your user DAO for database interaction Java, right? Then we have to create EMP service .java, right? And then we have to create one Pojo class, bean class, employee.java. So these are some of the classes I have taken here. That is these layers: service, DAO, and database, right? Okay. So we have to create these classes for CRUD operations with database, and this class will convert as a web service. Remember, the class that is available in the service layer, we always expose that class as a web service to the external world, right? Okay. Next, step 3. Then you have to create web service. Create web service, right? So when web service created, then what will do? Number step 4. Deploy the web service. Inside what I want to do, since we have already talked about JaxWS web service, and I don't have to take care of with the client side artifact and server side artifact, so better to go with WebLogic server. So deploy web service inside WebLogic server, right? So then test it, test web service. That's it. So these are the tasks that we want to do. To implement database interaction, insert and select. So try to focus on insert and select. That is enough for the time being. All right. So this is the things that we want to do now. CRUD using web service. Right. Okay. So let's do it one by one. Fine. Right. So let's do these steps one by one. First, we'll do CRUD using web service. Then we'll go over JaxV. Fine. So let's do it first. So in the insert DAO class, I want to write only two methods. One is insert method. Another is insert db method or insert db method like this. Another method I want to use here, select by id. Fine. So these two methods, and I don't go with all complex database interaction, just using simple database queries. So just see it here. Okay. So so let's come and open your Eclipse. Since you're into WebLogic, so I'm using this Eclipse. This example, let's complete with WebLogic. Then on the rest we'll go. Then we'll talk about Tomcat once again. I'll suggest everyone to do those labs also. It will help. Already I told you that if you are using normal, it is possible that the Eclipse that you are using, it may not support the connectivity with WebLogic. So you have to download these Eclipse separately. OEP, Indigo OEP or Eclipse OEP, download Eclipse OEP 11.1.1.8.0. If you write it, you can freely downloadable from the Oracle site. You can download everyone, right? Okay. Right. Okay. So this is the thing. So let's move first to create dynamic web project. So let's get on dynamic web project. File, new, dynamic web project. So you can write here JaxWS CRUD, right? CRUD operation you want to do. CRUD demo 4. Fine. JaxWS CRUD demo 4 we want to implement. Fine. Okay. Move next. Next and finished. So this is our project. JaxWS CRUD demo 4 on the left side. This is a dynamic web project we have created just now. Fine. Using WebLogic server. So this is my logic server. Okay, if you want, you can start your logic server. Starting. Right? Okay. So this is done. Then we have to create the Java classes. Right? So let's create. I have already those classes. I'm not wasting time on creating those classes. And just copy paste. Fine. Okay. So Java classes I have to create here. Right? Okay. So this is my classes. Everyone already familiar in Java, so I don't have to. In the PB package already have these classes. Okay. So if you want me to don't have to copy full. So first I have to create one connection demo class. Copy. So do one by one. First I'm creating one class connection demo. It's simple JDBC connection I'm doing here. Okay. So here BP is the package name I'm changing as this. And Control Z. Connection demo, one class is this connection demo. And the purpose of this class is Control V, just to interact with database, Oracle database we want to interact with, and it is returning the database connection. Right, this class have only one method, get connection, and this is loading the driver and getting the connection object, and it is returning the connection object. Simple JDBC connection, right, that we do generally for learning purpose. So we can use data source connection also. So let's do it first. Simple JDBC connection is returning a simple connection object. Done, right? Okay. Next, I have to create the Dowlier class. So create one Dowlier class. Dowlier class name is EmpDow. That have two method, insert and select by ID. That's it. Control C, copy. So I'm creating one DAO class. So right click, new class, user DAO or EmpDAO. So this is my EmpDAO class, and this EmpDAO class contain Control C, Control V. Save it. So this is EmpDAO, right? So I have to create this class. Okay. So public class EmpDAO start, and we have to close. That's it. Simply EmpDAO class. I'm coming into this, but before that, we have to create one employee.java class. Right click, new class, one bean class you should create. Employee.java, and this is the bean class. We should have minimum 4 instance variable. Private int. You can do everything in a string. You can do it everything from int empid, private string emp name, private string emp email, and private. I can read a salary, right? Private int emp sal. If you see here, we have total 4 instance variable inside this class, employee class. So it's a simple Pojo type class. So as you know that inside this class, you should provide all the details. Right click, source, generate getters and setters, select all. Okay. Then right click, source, generate get constructor using fields, select all. Okay. We should have default constructor also. So right click, source, generate constructor using field, deselect all. Okay. And if you want, you can provide on toString also. Right click, source, generate toString. Right click, source, generate toString. Click OK. So if you see here, this is simple employee.java file. It's a simple Pojo class or bean class, how we define in Java, right? Okay, right? Okay. So this is my simple bean class or Pojo class, right? Okay, this is my connection.java file. Fine. Now this is an employee DAO layer. What I'm doing to implement the employee DAO, we want to use two major methods. One is insert, another is select by ID. So this is my insert method. If you see here, can import Java.sql. Simple insert method. Insert into table name values, EMP values, EMP ID, EMP name, EMP salary, EMP email. Is it the sequence we are using? Try to follow the same sequence: ID, name, salary, and email. ID, name, salary, and email for same sequence. Fine. So it is not correct because we are using EMP email. So get e dot get EMP email. So it is a string. This is a string. Fine. It is done, right? So it's fine. Insert method is done. Now I want to select by ID. That means I want to use an employee ID, and based on that ID, I want to select all the details from the database. So this is simple select by ID method. Select star from EMP or EMP ID equal to this. And result set, I'm collecting all the details inside the result set and retrieving from the result set using and get all the value from the result set and put inside a bean class, and that I'm going to return. So if I'm returning any object from database for a particular employee ID, then in this method is going to return that object that contain employee ID, employee name, right? All the details, right? Fine. So I have these two methods. I'm trying to use this two method for database interaction, right? So right click, source, format, done. This is my EMP DAO class, right? I'm not following too much grammatical or very specific to a particular project specification, just to understand the concept of web service and JAXB concept, how much we can do there. Like this we are moving. Okay, so here this is the simple Java class, EMP DAO class. I have one insert method, simple JDBC if you see here, and another is there select by ID method, simple plain JDBC. Two method is already there inside the DAO layer. Fine. Now as I've given you the diagram here, the diagram that just now I've given, right, that the DAO layer contain the method that is interacting with the database, but service layer contain the methods if you want your existing services to expose as a web service, if you want to implement authentication authorization related service, if you want to implement JMS service, or if you want to implement logger service, or if you want to implement some other external services, then we always use the service layer, right? That is the purpose of service layer, right? So we should implement, and we all from Java always service layer is exposed as a web service, not the DAO layer. Service layer is exposed as a web service, right? So that's why let's create that service layer class as an EMP service. Fine. So let's create one service layer. Everything I'm doing here in the same package. If you want, you can create a separate package also here. Since it's a small example, it's not creating everything in the same package. So let's create the service layer class. So right click, new class. Class name is EMP service. EMP service. Right, class name is EMP service. Right, click finish. Now inside this EMP service, we should have this two method already have done it. So I'm just copying. So this is the insert DB and select by ID. So Control V. So this is my insert DB method. So if you see here, I'm inserting these parameters. So I'm trying to follow the same flow. ID, names, salary, email. So we are using the same flow: ID, name, then salary, then email. A string, email should be EMP email, EMP email name. So this is the things how it will come. You use the flow, salary email, fine, inserted. So this is the service layer method, simple JDBC service layer method, and this is select by ID. So when you select by ID, you're passing this ID. ID is a number here. So it's creating an object of DAO, and based on that ID, it will get the EMP object, and this is returning this EMP object. This is the service layer, simple example of service layer, and my class name is EMP service, right? So the Java classes are done. Java class is done. Now let's come to the web service part. Let's come to this web service part. What I'm going to do, I have to create web service, step 3. Right? I'm going with the step 3. Create web service. So when you're going to create web service, so what you will do, so as you know that we are following JAX WS API specification. So according to JAX WS API specification, if I want to create a web service, what I have to do, service layer I have to expose as a web service. So just I have to use one annotation, that is @web service. That's it. Web service is created. Just we have to use one annotation for in the class level. So by default it will use @web method annotation for these methods. So the service is done, right? So now what I have to do, I have to deploy it in the server, WebLogic server. So right click, run as, run on server. Next, I'm using this one. Okay, next, and finished. Now the thing is that since it is internet database, so we should have the that JDBC file, right? So JDBC driver, then only it will connect to the database, right? So just provide the JDBC driver in the leaf folder. If you see, JDBC driver is already available in the system because we are using Oracle XE. So see, if you go for Oracle XE, the driver is available inside this Oracle product 12.2.0 server. Then come inside JDBC, then leave and select this OJDBC 6. Copy this and paste it inside the leaf folder. Paste it inside the leaf folder. So I've added this JDBC jar, right? Fine. Now it should work. Database interaction. So again, deploy it. Right click, run as, run on server. Move next, and finished. It's deploying. You can see this console. Yes, it is deployed. Since it is deployed, now let me check the deployed application is there in WebLogic or not. Let me check the deployed application is available in the WebLogic or not. So what I will do, we'll have to go to we'll go to our console. So right here, HTTP, move delete, HTTP :localhost:7001/console and WebLogic, and use the password as welcome on. Login. When you log in, you can see that deployed web service available inside the WebLogic server. Go to deployments and see here the same project gets deployed. This is the project name, gets deployed in the WebLogic server state. Okay, now I want to test the web service. If you want to get testing, going to get the WSDL file for this web service. You can test it from SOAP UI or you can test it from here itself. Because this WebLogic server is providing its own client console, WebLogic server is providing its own client console, right? Since WebLogic server providing its own client console, so okay. So since WebLogic server providing its client console, so so here you can see, and this is my WSDL. So I can get the WSDL from here, right? Okay. Now I want to test it, right? So for testing, WebLogic is providing this test client, correct? Okay, fine. Now let me see what the table I'm interacting with. Its name is EMP. So let me see the EMP table in the database. Fine. Since I'm interacting in the database, let me see the EMP table in the database. Connect system password Oracle, right? And DSC EMP. This is my EMP table. Let's see any value is there inside there or not. So EMP ID is a number, EMP name is varchar, EMP salary is a number, and EMP email is a varchar. This is how the things we have taken. Fine. So check. Let me check is there any data is there or not inside this. Delete from EMP. Photos deleted. Fine. So select star from EMP. So currently no rows is there inside this EMP table. Fine. Okay. Let's insert one row, and this employee ID is 1001, and employee name is take me any name as Naveen, and employee salary is this much, and employee Naveen @gmail.com. So one row I want to insert. So insert DB. So in calling insert DB, if you see, this is your SOAP request. This is your SOAP request that is going to the server as an XML, right? And since your employee DB is not returning any response, is your employee DB returning any response? No, void, right? It's not returning any response. Return type is void, right? So return type is void, so it is not returning any response. SOAP response is not there. Nothing is there in the SOAP response. This is your SOAP request input parameter. Fine. Okay. So this is so insert so the thing is that whether it is inserted or not, I want to search. Fine. So if I want to search whether inserted or not, this is the WSDL. So the user ID is 1001, right? So you can check from the backend. Select from EMP. Yes, it is inserted in the database, right? It is inserted 2 times. I think you have done 2 times insert. Okay. Now if you go to the show operation, I want to see this ID one. What is the ID? 1001. So 1001 select by ID. So when you're using 1001 select by ID, if you see here, you can get the details of Naveen, right? Because this is the input SOAP request, and this is the SOAP request, and this is the SOAP response, and SOAP response contain all the details about the employee, correct? Fine. Because if you see your method, is returning an employee type object, right? And employee type object. Now, if what is the employee type object? Employee type object contain an instance variable employee ID, employee name, employee salary, email. So these instance variable is converted as an JXB element. This instance variable is converted as an XML element. See, right? Okay, that is working fine. Now the point is that what we have done just now, we have done insert and select with database. So we have done insert and select using web service. What type of web service? JAXB web service. Now, sorry, JAXWS web service. Now, if you want to get some more details about this web service that we have done now, you can see the WSDL file. If you see the WSDL file, this is my types element. This is my types element. In the types element, I have the schema for incoming and outgoing element. I have two operations. One is select by ID, another is insert DB. We have two operations. One is select by ID, right? Another is insert DB, right? Okay. Now on the other side, if you see here EMP service port binding. Now this is my operation insert DB and this is select by ID. These two operations we have used, right? So this is the WSDL file, right? Okay. So insert, so this CRUD operation using WSDL file is working fine. These all parts is working fine, right? Anyone have any queries here?